What's up, everybody? This is John Odermatt, the host of Felony Friday. And before we get rolling into today's show, I want to take a quick moment to talk about coffee. That's right, coffee. The Lions of Liberty, we have partnered up with Anarcho Coffee, and we are selling our very own coffee. It's called the Morning Roar. It is a medium dark roast that has cupping notes of lemon lime, caramel, black pepper, and brown sugar. It is delicious. You can pick up some of this coffee by going to lionsofliberty.com/coffee. We have a way there on your first purchase. You can get 10% off, but if you join the Pride for $10 and up, you can actually get more than that. You can get 15% off every single order. Buy some coffee, support the Lions of Liberty, support another great libertarian company as well. Everybody wins. lionsofliberty.com/coffee.
Welcome to Felony Friday, a presentation of the Lions of Liberty podcast. Here is your host, John Odermatt.
Felons, friends, and freedom lovers, welcome back for another edition of Felony Friday, a weekly show right here on the Lions of Liberty podcast. And as you know, Felony Friday, each and every week I focus on exposing injustice in this nation's broken criminal justice system. I bring you stories of individuals who have been through this system, have suffered injustice, or maybe have just suffered from bad decisions that they've made. But bottom line is they've overcome obstacles, they found success after prison, and they are contributing value to society. Truly motivational stories. And I do have one of those motivational stories for you today. I'll get to that interview in just 1 minute here. Before I do that, I want to remind you guys, this is one of 3 shows here on the Lions of Liberty podcast. Our week kicks off every week on Monday. We start with a show hosted by Mark Claire. It is our longest running program. It's our flagship program. And on that show, Mark interviews leaders in the liberty movement. Every Wednesday, we have Electric Liberty Land, hosted by Brian McWilliams. It is your weekly shot of culture, comedy, and liberty. And of course, every Friday, this show, which I hope on Friday, I hope when you wake up Friday morning and when you look at your phone, you see Felony Friday pop up. I hope you see that and just a feeling of excitement comes over you and you're really excited to listen to Felony Friday. And I hope you've been a long-time listener. If you're not, if you're a new listener, that's great too. Welcome. It's great to have you here listening to Felony Friday. But if you are a long-time listener and you do get that alert, that's great. But if you're a new listener and you want to get that alert on your phone, you want to see that podcast coming every Friday, you want to see Brian's podcast coming every Wednesday, you want to see Mark's come in every Monday, all you got to do is subscribe. Just go to whatever podcasting app you're listening to this show right now. Just go to that app and hit subscribe on the Lions of Liberty podcast. It really helps us with the algorithms in order to get up the charts, especially if you listen on Apple Podcasts, but all of them across the board, same way. And please give us a 5-star rating and leave a nice little review if you really do enjoy what you're listening to here. And if you don't enjoy it, then don't leave a comment because that's just mean. And I think, I remember my parents told me, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. So I would advise you probably do that. Let's get rolling into today's show. This is the 170th episode of Felony Friday. That means you'll be able to find the show notes page at lionsofliberty.com/FF170. Let's start the show. My guest today on Felony Friday is Calvin Green. Calvin was charged with armed robbery and served 3 years in prison back in 2007, got out in 2009. I was introduced to Calvin by a previous guest on this show, Aaron Kinzel, who just has an incredible story. I will link to his episode on the show notes page for you guys who haven't heard that. It's an incredible story. Aaron's a great guy, but Calvin also has an incredible story to share, incredible obstacles that he's overcome along the way. So, Calvin, thank you so much for coming on Felony Friday.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on the show, man. And what I like to do here when I bring people on is, first thing, before we get into talking about your past or any trouble you got into or obstacles you faced along the way. I like to give people really to get to know you, to get to know more about you and what you're all about. Just if you could just tell people where you came from, where you grew up, what your life was like when you were a young man.
My name's Calvin Green. I was born in Benton Harbor, Michigan, back in 1984. Throughout childhood, I stayed in Alabama and Michigan, back and forth. And as far as childhood, I would say my childhood had some positive, but mostly negative. Negative, like I had to grow up kind of old at a young age. I was like, at 5, taking care of like 4 of my brothers and sisters. Like that's how life was for me. And watching my mom, go through different abusive relationships. So yeah, that's how my life was, especially in the 80s, back in the mid 80s and late, early 90s in Ben Harbor. That was a rough time, So, it was a lot going on, and here I come. So me and my mom, we moved in with my brothers and sisters to Kalamazoo, Michigan, in like 1993, 91.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
Oh man, on my mom's side or on my dad's side or all together. Let's see. With my mom on my mom's side, like on my mom's side of the family, I would say my sister passed when I was like before I was born. She was born October 14th, 1983. I was born October 15th, 1984. So she passed before I came, and so that would make my mom had like a daughter. So that's 2 sisters and 4 brothers, 3 brothers. Yeah. So yeah, on my mom's side, on my dad's side, I still haven't met some of my brothers like that. I met 2 or 3, continuously. But like my dad has a family. He's doing well. He's been married for like a good 15, 16 years. I have a good relationship with my brothers and sisters, my younger ones, not my older ones,
Mm-hmm.
So we okay. We just distant, everyone, all my family's down in Alabama. I'm up in Michigan. So, and I have a brother up here though, but yeah.
So is it accurate to say that your life growing up was a little bit chaotic?
Oh, hell yeah. Like for me still, like peace is like to have peace is chaotic. To have chaos, chaos is to, be peaceful, and I struggle with that daily, on a daily basis. Like how do I, discern which is what, what is which, and it becomes like, a process. I've learned how to create outlets, to enjoy myself when I'm like alone, in my peace, because the prison helped out a lot. I get it, like some of the attributes that I've gained from that, my experience, while at the same, it's like, whoa, like I'm doing somewhat all right for myself lately since 2014. I had a struggle between that time. I had 2 kids between that time, and just threw me off, because I was married. So a lot of stuff, identity issues with that, fatherhood, and so I'm feeling pressure, but it's like good pressure because I'm used to chaos, so it's like I handle it fairly well, and I'm still, being supportive as well as I can, as much as I can do.
Right on, right on. So do you think that need for chaos, or that really, I guess, need for that want for excitement? I mean, that maybe that's something that you sort of seek out. Is that something that pulled you into some situations that ended up getting you in trouble, and it ended up ultimately leading you into prison?
Oh man. So check this out. Before I went to prison, I was in college. I was about to study. Actually, like while I was in college, right before prison, I was working, going to school, getting prepared to become get an internship at Bronson with one of the doctor who gave birth to my child. So I was in the zone. I was in a positive zone on my way to Costa Rica, KVCC, Kalamazoo Valley Community College. I was doing all right. What happened was I got at that same time, I was still involved in criminal activity. I was able to balance it. I was, chaos is peace to me. Like the not as much as I get older. I'm becoming more conservative. You know, I'm bored. I don't have a girlfriend. I'm single. I'm just focused on fatherhood. So maybe that's a side note. Like when I say chaos, it's like peace. It's just like a side note. But to get back to it, I would say definitely yes. Excitement was part of it. You know, part of my lifestyle. You know, negative excitement, positive excitement. It was all about that. And even though I was like groomed, I had good support growing up. Even though we was poor, my mom always kept me around like positive people, positive role models. I still found myself into criminal activity in the streets because that's what we were. That was me too. That was part of my life. I was just good at juggling it because I had to grow up at a young age. You know, so I was able to like keep it away from my mom actually knowing until she actually see me fall off. You know, before I went to prison, I was on tether. And even when I was on tether, I was doing like horrible stuff. Like I didn't notice it because I was popping pills. I was like selling crack out of my mama's house, you know, at that time. So I was already living a destructive life.
When you say you were in tether, you had ankle bracelet. You were,
yeah, house arrest.
House arrest. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in before, so I didn't see some of the stuff happening before I went to prison. A lot of stuff came coincided. Like it was an intersectional like situation. How I ended up in prison. My brother had just came back from San Diego, California. I was excited to see him. My other like brethren, you know, at that time, you know, I was excited to see him. You know, all of us together. And like again, I was in the streets too. While I was going to college. Like I was doing it all. You know, I thought I was, but I was losing at the same time in both areas. As I get older, I noticed that. You know, like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, cool. I made multiple mistakes, and it all caught up to me. And so, to get back to it, yeah. So, and forgive me if I like just go on and on. Like you can stop it. You can stop me anytime.
No, you're doing great. Keep going.
All right. But what at the same is like, there's a book I read. Let me see. Mr. Bill Wilson. Bill Wilson. I met him in 2013. He was Obama's like a mentor at Harvard University. I met him, and I read in his book. There's this character. I don't know if his name is Curtis. I don't know, but his character in this book is like basically, and it reminded me of me. You can have so much going for yourself. You can have support. You can have like different outlets. You know, different variables that like you know increase you to do well. You know, staying off the streets and stuff. While at the same, if you are conditioning to dysfunction, you know, conditioning to dysfunctionality in the family, in the community, in your psyche as who you are, like your identity, how you fit in society. If you have all those, you won't be able to see all that. So I was blind, and sometimes I'm still blind. You know, I was a city planner intern here in Kalamazoo, like for a minute, 2014, no, 2015 to 2017. I ended up having to stop when I went out to PCAP. I got in a bad car accident. I almost died 2017. So I still deal with a TBI from that accident.
What happened with the accident?
On my way from PCAP's Prison Creative Arts Project, me and my friend was driving, and we got hit by a truck going like 70 miles per hour. So my face hit the dash.
Was it head on or?
Head on. No,
wow.
Right behind. No, behind us.
Rear ended, okay.
Rear, yeah, excuse me. So rear, yeah, we got hit. I still deal with it. You can. I don't know. It triggers me. I'm doing good. I went through therapy. I did a lot of healing and stuff. I took I took a whole year of not doing anything but doing art. I didn't really see a lot of people. Sometimes I feel like my memory's like finally coming back. You know, it was a rough time when that time ended, and it threw me off. I'm still a little like going through the side effects, you know. But it was during that time that I went through a deep depression also. But to get back to it, like you can be doing so well. You can be doing so well. You can have a lot going on for yourself. But if you have dysfunction in your bubble of life, your circle, you won't be able to see what good you have around you. So, yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. There's a There's a podcast I listen to by he's a big time entrepreneur businessman. His name's Ed Milet, and the one thing he talks about, which I think relates to everybody, can relate to this in some form or fashion. But we each have. You were talking about your identity, your self identity, and that's really the result of that is, a lot of different things. It's, the people who you're around, the culture that you're into, the different influences you bring into your life, the books you're reading, the podcasts you listen to, all this stuff. But so often this identity, it's like things to start going well in our life in one area, but we have this like internal thermostat that even if things are getting better, things are changing for the better, just naturally, without even thinking about it, we'll sort of self-sabotage ourselves to bring things back down to a level that we're used to, which is crazy to think about. But so you almost have to change your identity and start to accept that you can really accomplish more, and where you were, what you're working towards, that's possible.
Yeah, truth. You're right. That's something like I learned like in prison too. Like I used to walk the yard, and when I first went down, I was like, okay, I tried to hit like a pull up. I couldn't barely hit this pull up. I was so weak, but as time went on, like I went from a half of a pull up with someone helping me till like the next week I could do a pull up or two. Then the next week I could do like 3 or 4. Eventually I was up to like 30, 40, and so it was like, always working on like how you identify what can increase you to have self-identity. It's a practice. It's painful, but I go through it, discipline, increasing discipline, is something I'm striving to work on, being more consistent, but while at the same, I'm somewhat blessed, to be able to, have this opportunity. I got a lot of friends that I lost, got killed, locked up, all this stuff, and my situation is really a tragic situation. I'm and a lot of people, it gets very deep, my situation, like beyond prison. It's like even the positives I had surrounding me at one point were like crucifying me, taking advantage of me. I've done a lot, even in my community now in Kalamazoo, I've done a lot. I'm not correlating, but I just said it to throw you off, or I'm not big on my ego. But it's like it's a challenge. Like always working on like identity. I feel as if like you have to identify the environment you are in too, and if that environment is not working for you, you gotta find a better environment to work for you.
Absolutely.
So I'm all right. I just feel as if I have an obligation to serve, because of like the discipline that I received, and that discipline was also incarceration. I think it helped discipline me. I use that time to become an artist that I always wanted to be, but I never had the opportunity to be. And I found freedom in some of the areas, like to be able to create. Being physically incarcerated is not as, to me, harmful as psychological incarceration.
Can you explain that? Can you go in depth there? Because I'm sure there's people out there listening. Like how can you find freedom in prison? Can you go into that?
I think people become like slaves of their free will, and their free will becomes them. And they lose themselves in that will to like find themselves. Like a lot of like we have to control our willpower. We have to control where we put our passion. We have to control, where we put our intentions. And for me, I couldn't do that as much, as well in the space. I needed a little space to figure out. I couldn't do it as well. Even to this day, like when I say do it as well, I'm saying like focus on one thing at a time. Without the societal issues, and when I say that, I'm talking about racism. I'm talking about even right now, I'm having issues. I got 2 degrees. I have 3 felonies though. Even though I have 3 degrees, 2 degrees. Excuse me. I got one from Western Michigan, Western Michigan University, excuse me. I had to work. I worked 12 hours today. So and I do construction, and it was raining today, and I had to do a lot. So I'm here, and I feel good to be here. But if I'm a little off, just forgive me, because I'm saving up for grad school, University of Michigan Dearborn, so I could be out there with Aaron. But being physically in prison is like, okay, you're in prison, like you know what it is, you know your time, you know your routine, you got a routine, you have, and I'm not saying like I wouldn't wish a day in prison for nobody, like I don't wish this, but at the same as like I think psychologically people are imprisoned by their desires, by capitalism, by greed, by hate, by self-hatred, so they can't even see their freedoms. Look at most Americans, they can't see their freedoms. They become slaves to their freedom. We as a people in America, look how we do our people. We incarcerate, because of ideas and overall, to me, capitalism, to free labor, slave. It's all to me different variables of prison. The way school systems are set up, prison, prison pipeline, the way some of these schools, even I'm not going to say it, but one of these campuses look just like a prison, and then I found out that campus was the architect also was John Engler, the governor. His architects were creating prison.
Most schools look like prisons to a certain degree. I mean, they don't look exactly like prisons, but they have the same elements. I mean, you're not getting a lot of natural light in there. You don't have big windows. Yes. They're very, very confining spaces with cement walls, and they're absolutely. Yeah, you have to be in certain places at certain times. There's not flexibility. There's not room for creativity. There's not, challenges to grow and things like that. But yeah, I 100% agree with you there.
Right. So I think in as I get older, I'm somewhat like blessed to be able to first be out of prison, then be able to accomplish what I've done so much, like almost like the little time I've been out. Like it doesn't like seem like it seems like forever, but it doesn't. Like 10 years, being out, I've done a lot, and I feel I still deal with the stigma of having felonies. It still like bothers me, even though I've like contributed a lot. Now, when I say contribute, like, I was like a city planner intern for Kalamazoo. I help write grants. I help get like organizations going. Then I step out of bounds. I create spaces for people to create, and I'm somewhat of an artist in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And I do, but I don't. I like to be able to step back and observe what I help contribute. And it's not just me. It took a lot of people to help me. It took, support, people who motivated me, help, that I needed those type of people who helped me achieve goals, and I made positive links. I was out here working, I took the no's and I took them as yes, because the more times I heard it, it's like, okay, yes, I'm hearing it. I need to hear this so I can know how to feel the yes for myself, internally. And it's all coming together. I'm at my job. I'm learning a lot about construction, because eventually I want to like get some houses and fix them up and help house people, through reentry program, and so, and also teach trades, while I'm able, while I'm growing in my academic sector of my life, so it's like I'm wanting to contribute more and serve, because I know that it took a lot of people to get me to think this way, and I owe it to a lot of people. I owe it to my mom too, I'm somewhat like obligated, to do this work. Even it's not pressure, I feel like it's controlled chaos. I do well with controlled chaos, and it's like I like my peace. I have an art studio. I'm here like talking. You saw a little background. It's my little art studio. My job's right down the street. Kalamazoo Mental KCMH is like where I do my therapy and all that good stuff. When I feel I need it, it's right down the street, So it's like I'm set up for transitioning into my life. But to get back, to it, to get back to what I was striving to state is that I don't feel as if I'm giving as much as I know I can, and so I feel like I'm in this like smaller bubble where I'm at, this area, and it's not bad. I love it here. I'm just a little too comfortable, so I have to like challenge myself to go somewhere where I can, build, because it's conditioning, and I don't want to keep falling to this conditioning status. Like you stated earlier, people, be afraid of their success, be self-sabotage. I've had a lot of opportunities that I let go because I self-sabotage, in this area. Not to say that I'm not blessed to have the opportunities. I'm an artist, well-established artist in terms of the volume of people who know me as an artist.
What type of art do you do?
Oh, I do mixed media. I do live art. I do holistic therapeutic art. I haven't really submitted my art to contest, any contest, but I've done work projects with PCAP's Prison Creative Project, University of Michigan, art shows, for like various mental health conferences,
Wow.
nationally accredited conferences. I just got asked to like be in the National Suicide Alliance documentary, and they're gonna film my art. So I'm in a good space, as far as the people. I don't look at like wealth also in terms of monetary. I look at it in terms of social, like the people. The more people you have, like value, qualitative people you have on your team, the better you are, in terms of the structure. Money is fiat. It's not real. We make money real. We choose to believe in that. We choose to believe in money more than the people. The people themselves, people create money, not money.
You know what? I think that's an outstanding point. And the way that society is going, I think we're moving in a direction where people are going to begin to be, or it's already happening now with influencers and, people are making money being on YouTube or Instagram or podcasting, all these different ways, just by building up their own social networks, by building up, by spreading positivity, by growing a personal brand.
Yes.
And it's moving away from these huge corporations controlling, really being mouthpieces that tell us all how to think, how to live, and what to do. And it's getting down to these individual niche that someone dives into. I think most people are missing this shift, but the shift is happening right in front of us.
Yes.
And it's an exciting time to be alive.
That's the point I was stating too. It's like I was just telling a friend, like, coworker today. We saw a car, and they was talking about the car, this, that. I was like, hey, I was drawing stuff, back in '97 that looked just like that car, and I believed that they believed me, because they were just quiet. I was just telling them, hey, I drew a Chrysler 300 back in 1997. I really did. I was like, it's like, oh, so you can see in the future. I'm like, I don't say that, but I get concept cars. I love like creating cars. I love cars, and, like drawing cars, like because like the way you draw cars, you can draw a shoe. It's like universal shapes. And a lot of my art, when you ask me, I put universal subliminal shapes in them. My art's, I'm an underground artist. I'm supportive. Excuse me, mind me, I got excited, so I started. I'm getting a lot of support, and I'm supporting a movement, like you said, like showing people in Kalamazoo that you can make it. Just like be driven. Take the no's as yes. You got to hear the no's. I just posted on Facebook. If you ain't falling down sometimes, you're not trying hard enough. And Kimberly Conklin stated that to me years ago when I was doing webinars for Trauma Informed TCON congregations. So when I state to you, like I've done stuff behind the scenes, I'm working on stuff behind the scenes. I really have done this stuff, and I never have felt the confidence until now to actually proclaim those statements. I have not been as confident as I should have been years ago because of the stigma of having felonies. It really messes with me. So
yeah, let's talk through this for a minute, because I think, I mean, because your attitude right now is there's so much positivity, there's so much good stuff that you're doing in your local community, helping other people. But I think it's important, you know, it's not, I'm not saying it's good to dwell on the past or look in the past or let your past define you, but I think it's important for context and perspective, people listening, to know where you came from and what you've been through. So if you could just share sort of some of the specifics or the story around your arrest and that time you spent in prison.
Okay. So, and the time I spent in prison was basically a situation that was really a tragedy. Like I said earlier in the podcast, like I was moving towards a positive future. I had some stuff lined up, and I kind of like got drunk with my brother. Well, I kind of didn't. Got really drunk. I was popping pills with my friends. We ended up like getting together. We went to a strip club, and we actually robbed the strip club. You know, so throughout that, I found out that the guy that my rappy and stuff, both of them, my brother and my rappy, I just keep it like that. They both were they had already like confessed it. I didn't confess, you know, until at the end of the momentum of this case, the procedures, I was railroaded. My friend, he was railroaded. We didn't, like my brother, he was railroaded. I like to always say friend because we were friends before this, but as I found out, like this guy was telling on the whole world. He told on my whole community. He told on everybody. He got like, guys 36 years. And it was hard for me to believe that until he wrote me and confessed to all that. And I was like, man, whoa, what do I do? Like, you know, and so the situation got kind of crazy. And overall, he ended up getting more time. My brother got less time. I got less time. And he should have been out years ago, but he was habitual, and throughout that, I found out a lot more, you know, about through my community, you know. So again, like this community here, like, you know, respect me for like what I've done. What I don't do the streets. I never really was into the streets like that. When I was younger, for the most part, I was like protecting those two, you know, making sure they were good. And then I ended up being the follower instead of the leader. And so I'm ashamed of that. I still deal with that, cope with it on a daily basis. And yeah, this podcast can go positive and can go dark. So to be honest, like this situation became, I still deal with it. And so I have to be amend for my participation and just do what I can to better the future of those around me, because for the most part, I was set up. I was set up many times through this guy, and I didn't recognize it. You know, I didn't see it. He was working for KBAP in Kalamazoo. He was working for, he was a narc, you know. So I had to do what I had to do, you know, to stay away from that situation, not be a part of that movement, what he was on. And yeah, so are you with me, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm tracking with you, man.
Yeah, it's deep, man. And I still deal with it because like I go to my neighborhood, people love me and stuff, but then they always ask it, you know, what happened? I'm like, y'all know what happened, you know, and everybody's like, oh, we get it. We get you. We understand. And people were telling me, you know, when I told you I was on tether for like 3, 4, 5 months, this same time I was on tether, I'm giving guys like 8 balls, ounces, of crack, because I was making a lot of money off of it. I was popping pills. I was living that life. I was doing it. I had my kid, my kid's mom. She was on the corner. My mom's house right there. I had everything set up, and I was just living a dangerous lifestyle. At the same time, I was doing positive stuff, amongst the struggle. So it's difficult to like to think about, like, dang, this dude you didn't help out all this time was like snitching on everybody in your community, everybody, and not only on the side that you're from, but in different like regions like of Kalamazoo. Like it was a rough time, and that's why I'm like, I had to make the decision once I got letters in prison. They was letting me know who I was. People were letting me know how they missed me, but what they respected me for. And that's why I came out shining and striving to keep that flame of what people remember me for, the positive
That's
life
great.
that I had. Because it was like I had to sit back. I had to sit back, and I think the universe that I think the Most High that I did go to prison, because I was headed down the rabbit hole. I had these guys around me that were snitching, taking from me, robbing me, sleeping with my kids, mom, all this stuff, and I couldn't see it because I was on tether, and that's not an excuse. It was more of it. I was in denial. This guy was doing all this, yeah, he was doing all that, and my brother had just came back from California, so I didn't understand what he was on, and it was like, man, they all on some. Let's get the excitement. Let's do what we used to do when we were kids, to deal with the pain, deal with the pain of what? The pain of like not having the opportunities, not allowing ourselves the opportunity. We didn't allow ourselves. I failed them. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now, to make amends, and, be there for them when the situation allows them to be.
I think your life, like so many stories, so many people that have had on this podcast, I think what separates someone like yourself, who's been able to move past, spending 3 years in prison, having that prison sentence, having really, like you said, having a failure, letting people down.
Yeah.
One of the things I think that I see consistently with people who are able to get past that and find positivity on the other side is they have some people around them that support them, and like you said, remind them of the good things that you've done, that you're a good person, that you've done good for society, for your community, for your friends, for your family. And I think that's so important for people to have. So that's one thing I would say. If anyone listening out there has a friend or a family member, anyone they know who is in prison, remind them that you love them, and they're not defined by the mistakes they've made. The past is the past. And I mean, it sounds cheesy and corny to say, but honestly, you got to decide to move forward at some point. And once you make that decision, you don't have to look back. Would you agree?
I definitely agree, John. Forgive me for calling you Ryan. John.
Did you? I didn't even pick that up.
Yeah, I called you Ryan once. Like, okay, my bad. Yes, I think I deal with like painful clarity, because I feel like sometimes to see stuff clear, it can become painful. You have to deal with the, adjusting the lens, moving it, to see, and I just don't allow myself to ponder on the past as much as I used to. I've forgiven myself. I've forgiven people around me. I've forgiven like those who like really, let me down when I was gone. I get, I don't have like this whole payback mentality. It's more of like, how can I just, consume as much as I need, right at this point. I feel like, less is more, based on like what I learned from prison. I don't need a lot. I just need like a locker with this little bit. I got my apartment. I don't go out. I don't see. I'm a social introvert. I'm inventing myself to that point where I can just think clear, because getting out of prison, it was a lot of discomfort, being around lights, being around people, seeing smart cars, using Facebook, all this different stuff. And I'm still dealing with it daily. I deal with PTSD on a daily basis. So it's a struggle, but I don't allow the struggle to define me. And I just define in action, so I just let my work speak, let people, proclaim that I'm a leader or proclaim I'm a social activist. I went out to Ferguson too, back in 2013. And I marched with the people for the national, October, what was it? Let me get it. It was, I forgot the name. It's going to come. It's going to come soon as I get out off this podcast. I'm going to be upset. The march, they had a few marches, and Talib Kweli was performing. All this stuff was going on. I ended up going out there. I was an ambassador for the march. It's off I forgot the name. I'm going to look at my
That's all right.
But yeah, this to let you know. Yeah, so I'm doing a few things, but people allow me to do it. Like if people say, "Hey, Calvin, we believe you're an artist, and we like your art," I'm like, "Hey, well, thank you. I like the people talk, And so I don't know. I just have a hard problem still, dealing with myself based on the choice I made, in my past, So I'm still, but it's part of life. You gotta live with it, and you gotta be held accountable. So this is how I'm holding myself accountable, by following through, being consistent, placing myself in a position to help those who need my help when I can help them. Be a good father, be a good mentor, be a good person at the end of the day. And it ain't easy because it's so easy to go back to that lifestyle. It's so easy for me, it's so easy, and I choose to. And when I say lifestyle, I'm talking about selling drugs. I wasn't like this whole violent person. I sold drugs, a lot of drugs, and I feel like to recreate myself from, doing something that was illegal to be able to have legal art. Like my art's in the hospital right across the street from me at the KCMH building. It's like right at KBCC. Awesome. I'm like, whoa. So there's other ways you can hustle, and you should hustle to heal people. That's what we're here for. And that's what I love. I like to call myself like this, like, spiritual minister of like healing, whatever, because it ain't easy. It ain't easy, to be alive and feel alive. A lot of the stuff that we go through in life is conditioning, slavery, and keeps you in a lower base frequency, keeps you down, keeps you feeling that you can't be you. And it's like, why not be you? It's like, whoa, be you. You'll feel good.
I love it. Hey, is it possible for you to share some links where the listeners can see some of your art that I could post on the show notes page?
Yes, I can see like my Instagram. I'm working right now to put together my website. I'm working on also to put together my online like shop, And another thing I do with my art, I do fundraising events. Last week I did an event for. Yeah, it was National Women's Day. Yeah, I performed. I gave out like over like $300 worth of art. I gave one of my friends, Yoga Lavender, like a painting because like she know my struggle. She was one of those same people that was in my corner, still in my corner, allowing me to have like opportunities to like build up the art movement I'm part of, and it felt good to do that. So that's one thing I do with my art. I use it as a tool. I'm a poor philanthropist. For real. People ask me like for art to auction. Now I was like, hey, I need to make some funds so I can pay off my little debt to Western, so I can get my transcript, so I can go to University of Michigan, Dearborn, and get my master's in community-based education, so I can learn how to write grants to help out, and also, give people opportunities, through hearing my story, through, seeing my art, hearing my music, and it's not mine. You can't take none of this with you when you go. So it's like, hey, this is what I'm leaving. This is how I like to leave stuff. I'm not selfish, but I am kind of selfish with my time lately. So
you gotta be.
Yeah, I'm learning that. Mm-hmm. I would, I'll tell you, like, I I didn't have that growing up, so I've been conditioning to be nurtured, to help. And now I'm finally understanding you have to help yourself first. A lot of people, in the streets, they want to be around certain people to, have this certain identity, and they don't even know their identity. Right now we got old school cats calling, young school cats old school, and new school cats calling the old school new school. It's
what?
Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, all right, here we go. You got old school G's. Like, say somebody my age. Like, I'm 34. In the hood, I'm an OG.
Okay.
In most hoods, I'm just being real. I'll be an OG. But if I go to a youngster, right, like 13, that youngster, and I say, hey, what up, old school? Like, what up, my dude? What up? Like, it's label. I don't like labels, but the fact of what I'm saying is like, the motive of what I just said, it was young people are afraid to live and old people are kind of like afraid to die. And I hope that makes sense. Like, in terms of and I'm getting to another level. I hope it's like not, but it's like
I'm tracking with you. I mean, it's sort of people young and old.
Yeah.
They get they get comfortable.
Yes.
They get in certain zones, be it a group of friends or be it the job they're at, and you get used to that comfort zone. And when outside influences come in that could knock you off kilter, that could challenge you, there could be a failure involved. Yeah, people don't like that. People don't like to be outside of their comfort zone. But that's how you grow. That's the only way you grow.
Right. And that's why I'm stating, because like a lot of like the guys I grew up with, like some of them I still see, they still the same spot, that's in the mind and literally, where they are, demographically. And it's like, wow, like the system really got people mentally sick, and people don't know that they're sick. We're in a sick, like society, not to say like there's not positive, like great things going on in our society. It's the people don't understand that a lot of stuff that America has given us makes us sick. I've studied this. I've studied like where poor people, most of them stay by railroads, like by sick water. Big ups to like Will Smith's son for helping out with Flint right now, with the water situation. Like that, we even got a water situation led in Kalamazoo. Nobody talking about that. Nobody talking. It's a hush hush. And one of the most wealthiest freaking like cities with the most like wealth disparity. Like, this place is crazy in terms of wealth, man. I ain't gonna go in terms of, I ain't going there. That's another story. But like, just keep it real. People are freaking sick out of here. So I try to like, make some sweet art, make some sweet music to help heal, because it feels good to do it. It feels good to be challenge people. I challenge myself too, to challenge people, because that what keeps me alive too. I'm not, this saying. I feel like I create positive art because that keeps me positive, to be positive with the people, and I see people like today I'm working, like my crew, they don't understand, until they actually see it. People walking by, hey Calvin, hey, neighbors, people, hey Calvin, and it makes them kind of sick, and then I notice how jealous they be, because like, hey, I can't help it. This is my community, this is my home. And I represent, I do it, I'm that type of person, like, because I have no other choice, because if it's a burden, it's not a bad burden, but it's like, I have to do it. There's so many people that install a lot of me. I can't make that go. They gone now. So who's gonna, keep that flame going? I'm gonna die one day. So who's gonna like take over where I'm going? It's what you leave, I want to be a memory of, life, period. I feel like if I was to pass now, I'm successful. I got my art at 5-year-olds. Like, I got my art in like little kids' rooms to older people rooms, hospitals. I've done it, and it's not necessarily about idol, like, or like the art itself, it's about like, hey, this stuff gonna last for a long time because the people who got it really appreciated it. They really appreciate my art, and I appreciate them. And not once have, out of all the pieces of art I've sold, somebody just said, hey, I don't want this, I don't like it. And I'm like, that's 100% guaranteed. I can actually say my art, I have never had nobody return art, and I've sold probably over like the years, probably like $30,000-$40,000 worth of art. I use that art to pay off my child support, the art money. I pay like tuition, with the art money. So I'm blessed, to be where I'm at, and now I want to just be able to provide for others, be a catalyst. That's all.
That is awesome, man. Hey, it's weird how with these podcast episodes, sometimes with a guest, I'll know like all about their background going in. And, I never have like a bad guest. I'm not going to say that, but I'll get like real prepared for it. And, it'll be a good interview. And then I'll have someone like you on. And like, honestly, I didn't know a lot about your background coming into this. But this conversation today, man, this has been one of my favorite podcast episodes because I did not see this coming at all. Yeah. I mean, this has been great.
Awesome. Yes. And I feel like, all right, when you put me on the video, I'm like, whoa, that was shock value. It was like, it's happening.
That's great, man. Hey, I've kept you for, I think we've been talking for close to an hour now. I don't want to let you go. I want to get I want you to say your Instagram on here and wherever else people can find your art and follow you and all that stuff.
All right. My Instagram is Zen, ZEN_57 at live.com. You can also find me at Calvin Green. You can Facebook me. I'm very open. I'm an open book. I'm learning that too. I don't keep secrets. So like find me on Facebook. Also you can like visit my page, cgreenart.com. It's still you can see some of my art, but it's still under construction. The best way to like see my art for right now will be my Instagram and my Facebook. I do a lot of marketing. I do social Facebook marketing. That's what I use it for. All my art in marketing for nonprofits around me, so I do that. I put out that type of energy. And that's why I use the Facebook for. And I'm about to like start doing a lot more with like the youth here too. So hopefully I'm gonna have a system that and I don't want to be long-winded, that I can get youth to help me do videography. So I'm gonna like have like a better system. So people who's interested, just be patient. The best way to find me is through Facebook, and my website will be coming together very soon, and also my Instagram.
I'll link to all that stuff on the show notes page and point people to that.
All right.
So they'll track you down, I'm sure. And yeah, man, thank you so much for coming on the show and being so open and sharing. And I think this was a great conversation today.
Well, I would like to thank you and also future Dr. Aaron Kinzel. I appreciate both of you too. I appreciate what y'all doing with y'all lives. Y'all both inspired me. I feel the energy. You don't have to be places to understand. And that's as I get older. Like I'm understanding what I can do. Through the people around me. So thank you for giving me the space to explore and to give my testimony. Thank you for allowing me to be on your show.
All right, man. Well, thank you.
Are you tired of banging your head against the proverbial wall of politics and getting nowhere toward actually making your life more free? Are you tired of interview podcasts that have the same guests as every other libertarian interview podcast out there? Are you tired of hearing the same news stories that you can hear on the mainstream media? Then you need to listen to The Lava Flow, where we don't do politics and we don't do the major stories that exist only to divide you. We talk about news that affects you and your freedom, and we work to find solutions that can actually help you to be more free. Check us out at thelavaflow.com.
Listen to Weird Libertarians at weirdlibertarians.com. My name is Chris Spangle, and I host a show where we talk about the stories you and your friends are talking about, and then we give you libertarian solutions so you sound smarter when you're talking to your friends. We're going to make you sound like a genius. Tune in now at weirdlibertarians.com.
Are those dry, boring, run-of-the-mill political talk shows putting you to sleep on your commute or at work? Are you ready for some fun?
Look no further. Blast Off with Johnny Rocket is a Seattle-based podcast expressing viewpoints of free markets, voluntary exchange, badass music, wicked banner, and of course, drinking.
The Blast Off doesn't shy from the truth, but always brings the party.
Let's rock and roll, Raylene.
Bring it on, Johnny.
You can check us out at thelaunchpadmedia.com/blastoff.
Again, that's thelaunchpadmedia.com/blastoff.
Launchpad Media. Always launching ideas in your direction.
And now I'm crying over you.
Hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Calvin Green. I know I did. This is the first time during this show, during this interview, it's the first time I got to meet Calvin and talk to him. And throughout the course of the interview, you could probably tell that I really grew to like him. I mean, this is a really good guy. He's doing great things. Great example of somebody who is not defined by their past, but is defined by their future. And I keep hearing people say, it kind of ticks me off a little bit, to be quite honest with you. I'll get feedback from some people about Felony Friday saying, you know, Felony Friday is great. I love it. These stories are important. People need to hear them. But you know what? It's just, I just feel down in the dumps after hearing these stories, after hearing what people have been through, after hearing injustice and things like that. Well, hopefully today's episode, and I honestly think every episode is like this if you look at it the right way, but especially today's episode with Calvin Green, hopefully you saw the way that somebody can really 180 their life around and turn their life from a position of somewhere where they are really hurting themselves, maybe hurting other people, or just making poor decisions, really not contributing the maximum value that they have to contribute to this world. And you see someone like Calvin Green, who that switch has gone off, he's done that 180, and he's just living, man, and he's in his wheelhouse. He's creative. He's giving back to his community. He's an entrepreneur. This is just all fantastic stuff. And I love talking to people like Calvin. I love surrounding myself with people like Calvin Green. So hopefully you guys took that same tidbit away from this show that I did. If you guys enjoy this show, hopefully you've been listening for a long time. If you haven't been, welcome. But if you have been listening to Felony Friday, if you have been listening to Lions of Liberty for a long time, I just want to encourage you, please, to consider. I'm not going to demand it, but please consider joining our Pride, our Lions of Liberty Pride, which is our patron support group. You can join for as little as $5 a month. You get access to bonus content, stuff like that. You know, the higher amounts that you give, the more stuff you get, the more merchandise, t-shirts, koozies, all the way up to at our highest levels. We get to do a monthly call, which is awesome, where we get to talk with our supporters at that level, get feedback, tell stories, all kinds of good stuff. But I just want to encourage you. We do this for free. Myself, Mark, and Brian, we've never taken a dollar out of Lions of Liberty. We put everything back in to growing this show. So every dollar that you put in through our Patreon account is going to go right back into this show. It's going to go into reaching more people. So please consider giving. Go to patreon.com/Lions of Liberty. And with that being said, the last pitch I'm going to make to you, if you drink coffee, guys, you heard it at the top of the show, please consider buying your coffee. It's an easy thing to do, and it's delicious coffee. It's fantastic coffee. If you drink coffee, consider supporting us. Consider supporting our partner in this venture, Anarcho Coffee. You can do this by going to lionsofliberty.com/coffee and buying a coffee called the Morning Roar. It's delicious. I love it. I was just talking to Mark before this show. He loves it too. I've talked to a bunch of our listeners who are enjoying this coffee. And so lionsofliberty.com/coffee. Thank you guys so much for listening to today's show. This is John Odermatt signing off. Always remember to keep your head up and the fires of liberty burning.